الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Until now, we are still busy with Surah Fatiha. And the reason behind Surah Fatiha, Allah, is to start knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first part was to we understand is gratitude. We have to show gratitude to be a Muslim. If you don't have gratefulness to Allah in what He has done to us, then we are not a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first part of being a Muslim is to be grateful. To be grateful what we see, what we have every day. We have a roof over our head, we have food to eat, we can walk down the street with especially we are a bit more better off than a lot of other people. So we can walk, we can open a tap in this water, we can switch on electricity. Most of the time there will be electricity. So in that sense, Allah, we have to be grateful for what we have. If we are not grateful, then we cannot be a servant of Allah. As I said in one of the previous lectures, ingratitude in Arabic is kufr, is disbelief. So if we don't have gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are not a believer. So the first part of being a Muslim is to be grateful for what we have. And if we're not seeking justice in anything that we do, then we cannot be a Muslim also. So everything that we pursue on a daily basis is about justice, is about getting the best for people, is about being as I explained, the difference between a man and a woman. As to the Quran will give the guidance on how to be just between men and women, to be just between a worker and his to the employee, and the employee, and towards employee, a men and women. And I just forgot the last one now, but it's a man and woman, and between government and its people. So everything that the Quran, we're asking for guidance. So there's a guidance which we need between men and women, between government and employee, between government and the people, between an employer and his employee, and the justice we have to find in the middle road that we have to find between the ruh and the body. So if that is the four compartments of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's the guidance we seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our worldly life, in our spiritual life, in our work life, in everything that got to do with it. So the basis of justice is gratefulness. And we can only show gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we can only ask for guidance if we are just people. If we're not going to be just, we cannot ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his guidance. So we غير المغضوب, we can just explain the two words غير المغضوب and ولا الضالين. غير المغضوب is people that have knowledge but they don't implement it. And so people at you can see it on different levels. I'm sitting in a meeting sometimes, and especially the minds, not maybe a good example for it. But in Jama, we'll see there's a point that is on the table, and the rest of the people say, no, we should accept that point. It's nothing controversial, but then they will go over to a vote to say. So that is people that have the knowledge to do the right thing, but they don't do the right thing. So there's a lot of examples of people know something, but they deliberately do something else. And in the Quran, when there's hadith that say who is the people that are maghdub and who are the people that are dhalin. Allah Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the maghdub is the Christian people. You know, it is the Jews. Those people that received the Torah, they knew the knowledge of the Torah, they had enough knowledge about it, but they did not go over in practice. They didn't go over into action. So if you have knowledge and you don't practice it and don't go into action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hadith said Those people are carrying the anger, the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have Jewish friends, we have Christian friends. So are they the people that are? Is it the Jews and the Christian that earn the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, Jew that earn the anger? No, it is that is examples of people that Allah said in the Quran. So the Jews and the Christians, the one is غير المغضوب, those who have knowledge and they don't implement it. Allah's anger is on them. وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. People don't have the knowledge, but they still do it. They don't have the proper knowledge, but they still do it. So those you can see that is as examples of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said we must look at it. It is not the Jews, it is the Surah Fatiha, it's for us. It is not for the Jews and the Christian. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those people that earn his anger are the Jews, and those people that went astray are the Christians, it is example for us. It is not for the Jews and the Christians. It is example to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when we have knowledge, we should go into action. We should not do something else. As the Jews have done, they had the Torah, but they didn't act on the Torah. And an example of the Christians is people that don't have knowledge, but they still do something about it. You know, if you ask a Christian about Jesus, is the Son of God, and then go into different examples. No, you just have to believe to do something. So it's blind belief. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you have the knowledge, you must think about it and implementing it. If you don't think about something, there's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is more ayahs that tells us to think about things, then he asks us to do things. So that's a very important thing in a Muslim's life. We're not blind believers or blind followers. Everything that we have to do, we have to think about it. We have to have knowledge and think about it and then implementing it. The Jews had the knowledge. They don't think about it. They didn't think about it and they didn't do the actions. On the other side, the Christians had no knowledge. They still don't know what to do. They've as I said, there's a lot of examples in the or even the Trinity. You say no, we just have to believe in there's a triune God. If you even there's a lot of examples. It's a front to the intelligence sometimes that people said that they don't have the knowledge, but they said no. If we just have to believe. There's no other way for you. You just have to believe what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, is telling you. So that's a basic argument to say when you have belief, when you have knowledge, you have to think about it and then implementing it. And if you don't have the knowledge, you can't think, then you just implement. So there's no, and in Islam, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that two things. We have to take the middle road of it. We should have knowledge about it and then implement something. And if we don't have knowledge, we still have to find the knowledge and think about it and not to be like the Christians. So we have, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained the two different types of people. And we have to be very careful on how we think. And I think in current day Muslim societies, we are moving more or less into that direction. On one side, you get a lot of people that have got a lot of knowledge, but they don't implement it. And then people that got very, very little knowledge, and then they do all types of stuff. The modern Dhikr movements are maybe a bit controversial, but if you have very little knowledge and you're implementing it, if you go to a church, you will feel very home. They're also very nice people. They will speak to you all the time. They will have the nicest words to you. They will inquire about everything that you're doing. So that's the heart that are talking. And on the Christian side and on the Jewish side, is the mind that was talking, the mind and the knowledge. But we still have to find the middle road between the qalb and the aql. That's a very important thing to think about. Say I know in general, I know a lot of people that got a lot of knowledge, but they're not practicing Muslim. And on the other side, people got very little knowledge, but then they are practicing. I see a lot of the Zikr Jamaas, as I said, the Zikr Jamaas, they are very, if you go to a Zikr, you feel very well, you feel very home and hearted. But, and then they do some strange stuff sometimes. People that are going onto this high level of they connect so much to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they lose their minds and stuff like that. Those are all the types of stuff that is going on. So we have to be very careful that in the modern Muslims, we don't have the general balance between the heart and the aql. And as I saw Yasir Qadi mentioned the other day in one of his lectures, if you go to universities, most of the people that teach Islamic studies are not practicing Muslims, but they've got a lot of knowledge. So the heart becomes heart, and you've got knowledge, you're growing in knowledge, but the heart becomes heart. The heart doesn't implement stuff. And on the other side, your brain becomes stale. People not doing anything about it. And then but their heart is very soft, and they do all the stuff. They cry a lot, and they do stuff like that. And what happens sometimes also, people with a lot of knowledge, they don't cry anymore. When they make salah, but the people with very little knowledge, they're crying all the time. So the Quran is that middle road that spells out for us between the maghdub and wala-dhalin. No, just on another, maybe on a practical note, or on a linguistic note, how the Surah Fatiha was compiled. And the first part of Surah Fatiha, it's got three parts. You can say, the first three ayahs of the Quran talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the second part of Surah Fatiha is about ourselves. The first part is about explaining to what Allah is, what the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And then when we understand who Allah is, we understand what the gratefulness of Allah is. So in the middle ayat of the Surah Fatiha is Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. The first part is about the knowledge of Allah. It's about who Allah is, the attributes of Allah. So when we understand the first part of it, Iyaka na'budu, then we are ready to make ourselves slaves. And then the second part of it is Iyaka nasta'in, then we ask for help on how to do it. And then the third part of Surah Fatiha identifies who are the people that you must follow. أولئك الذين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. That is we're not supposed to follow Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam exclusively. It mentions أولئك من النبيين والصديقين. من النبيين is the Anbiyas that came down. The Nabis and the prophets came down. And the Siddiqeen, the people that were truthful. Wasalihin, and all those people that were very pious people. So that is a type of people that we, not Allah subhanahu, not exclusively, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, our role models should be all those other types of people. Nabihin, wa Siddiqin, wa Salihin, wa Shuhada. And the people that gave up their life for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for the deen of Allah. So in the first part, we understand who Allah is. Then we said, no, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we become a slave. And then we ask for help. And then ask for specific guidance. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow those people. And again, maybe I should talk a little bit about Sirat also. Sirat is a word. It is a single word only. It cannot be known in the plural. So there is one Sirat for the Muslims. There's other words for roads of the path. There's other roads for like subulana, and some other words. The Quran uses a word sometimes subulana, the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in this sense, there's only one part, and that's a part of the Quran. And then there's some other thing that you can say, that one of my favorite ayahs, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And in that path, in that thing, there's only Allah, there's only Tawheed, Islam is the only way, but going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are many ways of getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to be tolerant about other people, but sometimes as the Salihin and the Shuhada, they have some differences among themselves, but they are in the past. So we have to follow people that were in the past. So not current people. We should not attach ourselves to current people. There's a specific other thing that those people that came before us. So it's not people that are here currently with us. That's a very, very good distinguishing point to make. We don't follow people that are with us. We follow people that were before us. That's a very, 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 people connect themselves sometimes to by some other stuff that people do. But our role models are the people that are in the past. So as I said, the first part is know Allah. The second part is to make you slave, and immediately then you ask for help. And those people that we ask that we should be our role models are the Nabiyin, Wasiddiqin, Washuhada, Wasalihin. Those are the four groups of people that we should follow. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, who we should not follow? Either people that have the knowledge, but they don't think and they don't act on it. And those people with very little knowledge, they don't think, but they act on it. So that's the part, there's a 4 layers of Surah Al-Fatiha. Allah knows everything. And then we ask for help. And then we see who the people that we are supposed to follow, the Shuhada Salihin. And then those people we should not follow are the Dhalin wa Maghdub and wa Dhalin. So that's the way Surah Fatiha is structured. Next time I'm going to talk a little bit about Sirat al-Ladina, An'amta alayhim. I will give a little bit more talk, but that's generally about who we should maybe ask. Yeah, okay, and I'll give next week a little bit talk about that again on Sirat al-Ladina An'amta alayhim, and then from there onwards we can conclude on Surah Fatiha. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآية وذكر الحكيم. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.